the person wrote, this isn't a bad story, but this guy is from Cincinnati. What does he know? If he was really serious, he would be here.
Had you ever written a screenplay before, Chasing 3000?
No, well, just my original draft. Just the, well, yes, I had written that original story, that the first step, and then I wrote 2 or 3 additional screenplays before I went back to write Chasing 3000.
And this goes back, you claim you've worked on this film or had worked on it. How many years before it actually came to fruition?
I probably, I mean, to become a writer, I mean, I was for 15 years, and I would fly out, and I would take meetings, and I make contacts, and it was interesting. I had people would tell me, I had a producer tell me in real time, "You can't do what you're doing." And I said, "I'm sitting in your office in Beverly Hills, pitching you my stories. I am doing it." But
and what was his response?
Nothing. He was kind of flabbergasted. But the whole idea that I didn't live in Cincinnati, I didn't live in LA at the time. And one of my first screenplays, because I had my contact at Disney, got it to a development person, and I got coverage back. In the coverage, the person wrote, "This isn't a bad story, but this guy is from Cincinnati. What does he know? If he was really serious, he would be here." I thought, but I am serious. But that was, you would hear that, you would read that in books, you would hear that in seminars. If you're serious, you're going to come out here to LA. But I am serious. So I had to overcome that. And so what I did was my cousin Matt lives in LA, and so I used his address, and I got an LA cell phone. Hey.
It was before burner phones.
Yeah, exactly. I live here in LA,
Yeah.
and so there were people who thought I lived in LA full time. I'd say I out-illusioned the illusionists.
Sure.
But that was, you have to, it's one of the things I tell younger people who, sometimes you just have to overcome people's objections. I had to get around that because I was serious, but I couldn't move there at that moment. So how do I create the impression? So I got an LA address and an LA cell phone.
So how does an attorney with 4 children living in the Midwest have time to write a screenplay?
I just made time. I just found time, whether it was evenings or weekends. And I would take a notepad with me, and I would, wherever I was, if I had a night, wherever I stopped writing in my scene the night before, I would take a pad with me, and sometimes I would scribble a note so that that evening I would go back and, revise it. But I was very serious about what I did. I took seminars. I took Robert McKee's seminar and a number of others, and I just think I got better at my craft. And what happened was I wrote a helicopter action picture called Downward Rush, and it was pretty good. I almost sold it, but I got bumped up, I say, into a new stratosphere of writers, because I started to meet with people and producers who were bigger names. And one of those companies was Mandalay. And the young development person, they passed on it, and he said, what else do you have? And I said, "Oh, I have this smaller baseball picture, but you wouldn't be interested in that." And he said, what, you don't think we're interested in baseball? Is that what you're saying? We don't like baseball? He said, "Send it to us." So I sent it to him, and he really loved it. But it was not right for Mandalay. But when he went out on his own, he kept the screenplay. and his name was Ryan Johnson. And Ryan and I became friends. I mean, that's who I went to when I was able to raise even a small amount of money. At that time, I only had raised maybe about $200,000. And Ryan's office was in Venice Beach, and I went to his office one day and I said, hey, what if I told you I had Chasing 3000 and $200,000? What would you say? And he said, I would say that we can make that movie. Really? Yeah. And so from that point on, then that's when it took off. But Ryan, again, it's about, like a lot of things in life, it's just about making contacts and friends. And so this, who was a development person, he went out on his own as a producer. He took my screenplay with him.
And sorry, how long had you known him? Like, how long had the relationship spanned before he went out on his own?
Let's see. He went out. It was probably the 1998, and then he went out on his own probably around 2001, 2002.
Okay, so sort of a 4 year.
And then then we started shooting the movie in 2007, I believe. So.
And so at that time, 2007 prices, 200,000 would have covered a 21-day production.
It's funny. We laugh about it now because I didn't have the 200,000. I asked him in attorney weasel language, what if I told you I had 200,000?
Okay.
Okay, and so I didn't have the 200,000, and he couldn't make it for 200,000. So it's funny, we were both lying to each other. But what happened is it opened the door to sort of digress a little bit. No one had ever told me they didn't like the film. It was once in a while somebody would say it's a period piece. Those are a little hard to make, but I got frustrated. By that time, I started to get frustrated with my lack of success. And so I said, one day I woke up, one morning, I just said to my wife, I know people with money. I'm just going to raise the money myself. And so I went out and I started talking to friends who were, hedge fund managers and money people. And, I just told them. And some people were interested, some weren't, but one friend was interested in it. And then with that, and then he read Chasing 3000 and he really liked it. And, he said some of our investors have an appetite for this kind of investment. And so what happened is then we were able to raise $700,000. Then it was for real. And it was going to be a right to video at the time, a small movie, right to video. And, but then Ryan lived in Marina del Rey near a manager, and one of the people she managed was Ray Liotta. So Ryan got the script to his manager friend, who got it to Ray Liotta. And then we were 4 days away from shooting in Pittsburgh, and we still didn't have the lead cast.
Oh, wow.
And Ray Liotta committed to the movie.
Wow.
And with our budget and with what it was going to cost to hire him, our $700,000 was going to go fairly quickly. But with Ray Liotta coming on board, we were able to raise another $1.2 million. So we raised $1.9 million to shoot the movie.
Did you go back to some of the same people?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
and
yes.
you let them know, hey, folks, we have Ray Liotta attached.
Yes, and they were willing to commit more money to it.
What does that mean? They have an appetite for this kind of investment. Well, what does that mean exactly?
That just means some investors are willing to take chances.
Okay.
Some people who invest money like to take a chance on something. Some people want to invest in a Hollywood movie.
Sure.
Quite frankly, and others like, I'm willing to take a shot at this, and so that's where that comes from. And so there were enough people, that we were able to raise the money.
Sure, and for some people, I don't know how much each person put in, but it might not be as big a chunk as people in LA working survival jobs trying to be in a movie.
Correct.
I get it. Were they able to come to set? Sorry, were they able to come to set?
Some of them, yeah. Oh, yeah. We invited anyone who was able to. When we shot in Pittsburgh, we had a number of investors, and some of them were extras.
Oh, okay. And you have a part in a movie too? I saw.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
Yeah.
I don't want to give it away. It's on Tubi for people who want to see it. And I love the film. I'm not actually a baseball fan, and I love the film because it's a very special story of these two brothers. So I highly recommend it.
Well, thank you.
And I won't give away some of it, but I enjoy some of the struggle that the older brother goes through. And so I do recommend it. When you said you wanted to make it a bigger film, it wasn't big enough. Can you tell me exactly what was done to make it bigger?
Sure, that's a good question. I mean, and I see this sometimes in like there are a lot of movies, and I call them film festival movies. There are a lot of film festival movies that are really good movies, but their appeal is not broad enough to get distribution and to appeal to enough people. As a movie buff, or as a movie producer, filmmaker, as a screenwriter, we might really like this story that we're watching, but now that I've crossed that line into becoming a filmmaker, raising the money, realizing where the money goes, how you shoot a movie, how much a certain shot costs. There are a lot of movies that I've been to a film festival or two or three after that, and I'll say, this is a really good story, but no one's going to go see this in America, right? In where, to get a broader audience. So the story was, so we made the trip bigger. So in other words, that it was maybe too intimate of a story. That's also part of the lack of appeal, a general appeal to certain films. But to make it bigger, we made the trip bigger.
Oh, the road trip.
The road trip. Mm-hmm. Okay, so in real life, we didn't take a trip across the country, but the boys do, and we set it in L.A. so that I learned, that people in L.A. are somewhat myopic. They really love stories about LA, and they might not be able to relate to something. Oh, they're able to relate to it a little bit better. Let's say that if it's so we based that's why we got the boys back in LA to go back to Pittsburgh. So we had to create a bigger story. We had to get a girl in the story. That's the girl, on the train.
Oh yeah, mm-hmm.
Lovely
I loved her.
Tanya Ramone.
Yeah, she was excellent.
Yeah, she's beautiful. And the way I wrote it, she's not supposed to be that pretty.
But you can still see it in her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, I came to the set when I saw her, I said, can't you make her? I said to the makeup people, can't you do something? Make her less attractive? But, and so there's certain elements of the story that just got bigger. And so I think with the Clemente hook,
right, as the driving
force, that's where it made the story special. Otherwise, it might just be a story about two brothers. It might just be a film festival movie about two brothers. Or this is a really nice picture, but who's going to go see it? Or what can we do with it? And I've learned, I've negotiated, 2 distribution deals. I know what distributors are looking for, and so I try to see even stories when someone will send me a screenplay, and you have to write a story. If you really want to write and you want to be a screenwriter, you do have to write something that people are going to want to see and that you can get distribution for.
Well, you have such great characters. I don't want to give stuff away, but that they come up against, and they're very interesting. And I must say, the music choices too were amazing.
Oh.
I
A
would
lot of those they stayed the same as I wrote them in.
Okay, yeah, I mean, you got some amazing songs in there. I was surprised that, a lot of times a smaller budget film to get those big level songs and Allman Brothers and things like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, hats off to you. And it lent to the time and their trip. So,
yeah.
In
fact, all the experiences that I had besides just writing the screenplay and it morphed into me becoming a producer, of course, on the film. But we wanted to. Interesting story is that we wanted to use the song "Mama Told Me Not to Come."
Okay.
So we reached out to the record label, and they said that the rights were still owned by the writer R. Newman. So I reached out to Randy Newman. And I told him we want to use the song in our movie, and he said send me a screener. I didn't think I'd ever hear back from him. I told my wife I'm never going to hear back from him. A week later, he contacted me, and he said, "Sure, you can use my song."
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's one of the coolest moments of my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a great song, by the way, too.
Yeah.
And did he do I Love L.A.?
Yes.
Okay, wow. So Mama Told Me Not to Come.
Yeah.
And then I Love L.A. That's great.
The Three Dog Night sang.
Yeah.
But he wrote. He's written quite a few songs that others have performed. But yeah, it was a great experience. Yeah, one of those fun things.
Right. And I guess it helped maybe save on attorney costs that you knew enough to do contract negotiations.
Yeah, and just
these things?
sure, we were able to. I was able to. Yeah, to negotiate certain things.
Yeah, no, the music really was a nice backdrop to this trip and that time. And
Yeah,
I'll just leave it at
to try
that.
to
But
to
great
give a
songs, great choices.
Feel for the
yeah.
the time of 1972. Yeah.